Must be another Saturday. How you doing? Must admit, I had a booster jab yesterday, and every time I've had a vaccine, I'm not very well after it. Well, I'm okay, but it's one of the things that put me off getting vaccines in the first place. And I understand that it does put people off, because who wants to be ill? It was after COVID, having COVID for 10 days, that I decided to get the vaccine. I weighed up and that maybe it was better to have it than not. But I still don't like feeling ill. First time I think it was 2.5 days. Second time it was a day and a half. And today it's been at least 24 hours. I mean, not too bad today, but enough to know that I'm not 100%. It kind of comes in to the subject that's on my mind. I haven't actually done any silence here. The subject relates to at the global meeting for worship on Zoom on Wednesday night. After it, I'm just going to have a drink of tea. Please excuse me, as I said, I'm not feeling so great, so I need my tea. We got into a discussion about healing, particularly about George Fox, who's credited with being the face of the founding of Quakerism, and the claims that he healed. And one of our number was rather dismissive about claims of healing. So that got me thinking, and it's still with me. So I'm just going to take a little bit of silence, probably not too long. As I say, I'm not feeling great. and see what comes. I've got some thoughts in my head, but let's see what the silence does with them. And if I fall asleep because I'm tired, wake me up. It's, for me, Jesus said, even if I was to show you the greatest signs, it wouldn't help you believe. So although he was an acclaimed miracle worker, even he said that the miracles were in some senses not the full message. The full message was about a way of life, a way of living. So I'm just thinking that if we ditch George Fox on his claims of being a healer, what do we accept that George Fox said? Can we accept anything he said? I'm seeing what could be said about Jesus. If his stories of healing were just stories, why pay attention to what he said other than healing? This throws me right back to, say you got the original humans, however that was. How did they know what was right and what was wrong? Was it a case of trial and error? I think it was once said life was short, brutish, and harsh until we humans decided how to civilize ourselves. Having said that, with 17 major conflicts going across the world at this moment in time, we still haven't quite learned about being civilized, whatever civilized means. But the idea of, I suppose, the social contract, which comes from social policy, that we agree to give up some of our rights in order that we're protected as a whole. And that's, I suppose, the foundation of nationhood and statehood. It's also true, though, that as people came along, they discovered things about the world. So words always come after. The things are always here, whether it's gravity or electricity or anything. If it wasn't already present, it wouldn't be present now. We've just learned how to harness them, harvest them. Not always to the good either. Physical illness focuses our minds on the need to get treatment, to feel better, to feel well. But it isn't just about physical illness, it's about life and how we live, and what's the best way to live, and what's the best life, and what's the life that's going to do least harm to anyone else, but also be enhancing for us. So whatever someone says, whether it be Jesus or any other prophet or religious figure or anyone, it's about what meaning we find for it. Do we find a truth in that? I often ask people what religion, or do they have a religious belief, in a series of questions that I have. And people focus a lot on the religious bit. But as I've asked these questions, I've come to say, well, everyone has a belief. Not even a belief, beliefs. To get out of bed in the morning, if you do, it has to be a belief that there's something to get out of bed for. To do what we do, if we want to know what we believe, just let's look at our lives. How do we live? I must believe there's some purpose to sit and doing this video. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. So belief, probably not always what moves us to live in a particular way, but the belief is like words, it always comes second. So if you want to know what a man believes, or woman believes, or whoever, look at their life. As I say, if you want to know what you believe, look at your life. What do you do? What does it say? If we take something like psychotherapy, I don't think it's based in any scientific evidence other than perhaps social science to do with effective studies. And I was just looking at a study today on the effectiveness of religious healing, as I was saying about healing, and a Norwegian study looking at the results of prayer. And actually, in that study, I saw 3 cases. I think it was at least 3 cases. If I find it, I'll put it in the link. 3 cases of people being healed from cancer, and that's a fairly substantive thing. A lot of them are about family and personal issues, divorce, family rejection and stuff, which you could say is psychological healing. But there were 3 that were cancer, and that's fairly substantive. So, can we say that religious belief, spiritual belief, is certainly as powerful as psychotherapy and the results of psychotherapy? I mean, what is psychotherapy? What is our spiritual beliefs? How do they benefit us? I guess the test is how well we live in life. If we claim to be spiritual people, if we claim to be people interested in growth and being, to use that well-used phrase, our best selves. Are we? Do we see our best selves? Do other people see our best selves? Because then that will tell us what we're drawn on. I'm sure I've used the example before, and I'm going to end because, as you know, I can go on. I have a very, well, is it a deep sense? I like to think I have a great sense of God's love. Now, where did that come from? That came from stories largely from the Bible. Now, you could say, well, they're just stories and you've believed them. Well, we believe a lot of things that are stories about our jobs, our families, our status. Very few of these things are actual facts, are they? They're stories, or what we've created and what people buy into as a belief about status or wealth or whatever. But they themselves are only stories. So why not then? If a story has the power to communicate something like love, which I think, going back to the start, that humans discovered that there is a force called love. That when someone dies, we miss them, we feel pain, we feel a loss, and that comes from an attachment, of course, but an attachment that probably is love. So I guess some people could say, does love exist? And in some ways it might be difficult, but then I guess the word love comes after the experience. So if you see people being a particular way, you might say they love each other, that's why they're behaving that way. I guess we can only say what we mean by love. So if a story can convey to me the love of God for me, well, why couldn't a story convey healing to someone? And I'm not just talking about psychological healing, I'm talking about a physical healing. Just some thoughts. We'll just have some quiet and then we'll close. Best day.